You now have access to the most effective training program given to TK by a professional scout in 1980. The 6-week program allowed TK to drop his 40 time by 0.2 of a second, put 6 inches on his vertical jump, and increase his standing long jump by over a foot. It only works when you do.
The repeater station. Find several stairs, like the stadium's bleachers, to place several athletes at. Groups of 3 or 4 are preferred. Position the extra members in the group behind the athlete in the drill to prevent an unlikely fall backwards off the step. The athlete will stand in front of the step with both feet together and toes close to the step. The athlete will jump up onto the step with both feet close together, with the toes barely making it onto the step. The athlete will immediately jump back off the step to their original position, remaining on their toes. They do not let their feet touch flat to the ground. Because the athlete remains on their toes, the muscles in the legs and ankles never come to rest, which creates a plyometric exercise. Plyometric exercises focus on the white muscle fiber that are associated with speed, agility, and quickness. The athlete will attempt to quickly and rhythmically jump up and down on the step, as outlined in the earlier instructions. A whistle will indicate when each athlete will start jumping, and another whistle will end each drill after 60 seconds. One of the other members in each group will count each time the athlete successfully jumps with both feet up onto the step. Techniques that will enable athletes to be quicker and remain in balance is to always keep the heels of the foot higher than the toes. Dropping the heels, especially when the athlete becomes fatigued, will cause the athlete to be pushed away from the stairs. Most athletes will perform poorly at first. Once they get into a rhythm, they will get much better at it. It also helps to put the arms out to the side of the body and to make small, backward circles with both arms. When they get the rhythm right, the hands will be lifting as the athlete jumps up on the stair. This will add some lift and balance. Athletes should be able to get to a point where they can do 70 to 80 reps in a minute. Linemen should be in the 55 to 65 rep range. The standing long jump station. Get as many athletes spaced comfortably on the end line of the football field between the upright on the goal post and the sideline of the field, facing the goal line. Have the extra athletes fill in behind each athlete in the drill, ensuring the lines are even. The athletes will put their toes on the end line. They will spread their legs as wide as possible while maintaining both feet flat on the ground. The athletes will squat down, simulating they are sitting in a chair. This position is very uncomfortable but will result in building greater leg strength. The athletes will reach back with their arms straight, as far back as possible. From this position, the athletes will throw their arms from the back to the front, keeping them straight the entire time, to a position where the arms end up in front of them, with their hands at eye level. At the same time the athletes are throwing their arms forward, they are jumping forward as far as they can, making sure to land with their feet as wide as they took off from. Mark where the athlete landed, and this is where they will repeat the jump again. Mark the spot where the second jump landed, and this is where the athlete will make their third and final jump towards the goal line. Turn around in the exact spot the third jump landed and try to get back to the end line with 3 more identical jumps. Perform this drill up and back 3 times to allow you to jump farther. Make sure your arms remain straight out from your chest when you land. If you drop your arms while still in the air, it will cause you to drop quicker to the ground. This is the greatest exercise to gain muscle strength. But you must trust the process and not the results. You won't go as far with the legs spread far apart and your butt as low as possible. But you will gain so much more leg strength that will allow you to jump farther when you take a normal stance. The rebounder station. 6 athletes will stand under the goalpost, facing away from the field. There will be 3 athletes on each side of the center pole of the goalpost. Each athlete will put one toe on the end line and the other foot a couple feet back. They will step with the foot that is off the line up to the end line with their feet as wide apart and butt as low as possible. The athletes will have their arms straight and as far behind them as they are able to. When their back foot reaches the end line, they throw their arms straight up over their heads and jump off the ground as high as they can. Make believe you are rebounding a basketball. Keep both arms extended above your head and land with your feet as wide as you took off from. Repeat this 10 times. Once again, this position will feel very uncomfortable and you won't be able to jump as high, but it's the process, not the results. Now, we will start 3 yards from the end line and do the same drill with a 4-step approach. Take 3 steps starting with the foot you placed on the end line in the previous drill. On the 3rd step, you should end up in the same starting position as in the original drill. As you step on a line with your 3rd step, extend your arms behind you as far back as possible. Your 4th step is your trail leg coming up to the end line. Make sure to get your feet as wide and your butt as low as possible. This is a typical gather position in rebounding, except your feet are wider apart and your butt is lower. In a continuous motion, jump straight up as high as possible with both arms extended in the air. Make sure you land with your feet as wide apart as you took off from. Backpedal 3 steps and repeat the drill for a total of 10 reps. The sprint start station. Before starting the drill, have the athletes pair up. One athlete will stand with their back to their partner with their arms crossed over their chest. You must relax and think about something other than the push coming from the partner behind you. The partner will push the athlete with their back to them with enough force to make the athlete move forward. If the athlete being pushed just reacts to the push involuntarily, they will always push off of their dominant foot. Repeat with the roles reversed. All the athletes need to remember which is their dominant foot for the drill. Line up as many athletes as possible on the end line between the upright of the goalpost and the sideline. Facing the field, leave a couple feet between each athlete. Have the extra athletes in the group fill in equally behind each athlete in the drill. Each athlete will place their dominant foot 8 inches behind the end line. With their other foot, the athletes will line up the toe with the center of their dominant foot, shoulder width apart. With their fingers together and their thumbs spread apart as much as possible, the athletes will form a bridge so only the tips of the fingers and the thumb on each hand are touching the ground directly behind the end line. This is the same as a sprinter start in track, except that the feet are closer to the start line. Each athlete will go on their own when they are ready. Before each athlete attempts the sprint start, they will raise their butt until there is only a slight bend in their knees. All their weight will be forward, and it puts a lot of stress on the fingers. This is good because this drill also strengthens the fingers. Before each athlete completes the sprint start, they roll up on their toes and put a little more weight forward, followed by the drive off the end line. If the athletes follow all these instructions, they will initially have trouble driving out of their stance and may even stumble or fall. The more times the athlete does this sprint start correctly, the sooner they will build up their leg strength, burst, and balance to smoothly drive out of the stance. Athletes will perform this start correctly if they lean forward right before they take off. This will prevent the athletes from rocking back and standing up on their starts. Because the dominant foot is so close to the start line, the athletes gain almost a yard just on their start. Also, because you are learning to drive low out of your stance, you gain another yard as opposed to standing up too soon out of the start. This is the best drill to take 1 or 2 tenths off your 40-yard dash time. The other stations are necessary to build the leg strength, body control, and balance to perform the sprint start better. Each athlete should complete 10 sprint starts. The yo-yo station. TK developed the yo-yo drill to improve breakdown and acceleration of athletes out of their breaks. Break the athletes into 3 groups. Group 1, the running backs, defensive backs, and receivers. The second group is made up of tight ends, linebackers, and quarterbacks. And the third group are offensive and defensive linemen. The athletes will start in a 3-point stance. The first group will start on the 25-yard line. On the whistle or a set cadence call, the athletes will sprint for just 5 yards. A few steps from the 30-yard line, the athletes will break down and place their pivot toe directly on the line. This is not a basketball suicide, so you are not allowed to turn your foot away from the line. The athlete should drop his hips and his chest, so the chest is directly above the pivot foot. The athlete then pivots and sprints back to the start line. A few feet from the 25-yard line, the athlete breaks down again and places his toe on the line. Usually this results in the opposite foot becoming the pivot foot. The athlete pivots on the foot again and returns to the 30-yard line, where he repeats the same breakdown and pivot as the first trip down to the 30-yard line. The athlete then sprints back to the start line. Once the athletes get proficient at this drill, their time on a stopwatch should be very close to their 40-yard dash time. It is helpful if the person running this drill has a split time stopwatch, so they can get times for as many of the athletes as possible. The technique of breaking down over the pivot foot is critical to developing much greater burst out of the break. So don't let the athletes cheat by running it like a basketball suicide. Trust the process, not the results. Each athlete should do 8 to 10 reps of this drill. The sprint start, form running station. Have a total of 6 athletes lined up on the 45, 40, and 35-yard line on each side of the 50-yard line. They will be on one sideline, facing across the field in their sprint start stance as demonstrated in the earlier drill. The rest of the athletes will fill in line behind these athletes. When each athlete has positioned themselves correctly in their sprint start stance, they can take off on their own when they are ready. It's important to still perform the sprint start exactly like they were instructed in the sprint start station. When the athletes are able to drive out of their fall in the sprint start, they will motor down into a slow form running mode. The knees should be lifted high in front, almost to the waist. The toe is pointed down on the knee that is lifted. The foot on the ground should be up on the toe, balls of the feet, with the soles of the feet never touching the ground. Both arms should be relaxed with the elbows moving close to the body. A simple trick to relax the arms and to ensure that the elbows are tight to the body is to slap your thighs with your thumbs when the hands come down. Lift your arm opposite of the knee you are raising and relax the arm when it is dropping. You should have a slight body lean forward, not bent at the waist, but a whole body lean where the ass and the shoulders are in line. You want to continue this perfect form as you slowly build up to full speed, motoring down when you reach the far hash marks. Make sure you maintain your high knees. One of only 2 ways to get faster is to lengthen your stride. The faster you go with the high knees, the longer your strides will be. The other important thing to remember is to always stay on the balls of your feet, never letting your flat feet hit the ground. You only use heel to toe when you are running for distance. After running across the field, stay on that side and repeat the drill in the opposite direction. Each athlete should do 8 to 10 of these.
This program is designed for 6 weeks, working out for 5 to 6 days per week to develop the best results. Follow the instructions closely because the techniques you are given are important for quicker improvement in all areas of your athleticism. The daily workout can be done in less than an hour depending on the amount of rest you choose between reps and stations. You will see a dramatic improvement in your speed, agility, jumping ability, and overall athleticism if you stick to the program.